At first, you're not going to appreciate how I say it, but success is easy in anything in life.
If you want to 10x your life, everyone says this on social media, the real key is
relationship capital is that unspoken currency you have. You can open so many doors, and it has allowed me to enter new industries with zero experience and immediately rise to the top.
As you probably know, we're sponsoring an episode on the 2-minute drill, and really it's a platform for startup businesses to get exposure, go through our accelerator, and ultimately position them to win, just like this guy that is joining me today. So Jeff Fenster, welcome to the House of Bricks Live on LinkedIn. And we are live. It is always that awkward moment of pressing go live and actually being live. So I'm waiting to say this, and now I've kind of even lost some of the energy, but I would love to welcome everybody to another House of Bricks live event on LinkedIn. As you know, we've featured some amazing guests, pro athletes, top CEOs, but we're not about profile envy in the House of Bricks, because I believe that everyone has a story to tell that can inspire the right person at the right time. And when you achieve things in life, you gain a universal authority to lead someone else from where they are to where they want to go. Today, we have a very special guest. Got connected again through David Meltzer. I feel like an advertisement for him, but working with him has definitely brought our company to the next level. As you probably know, we're sponsoring an episode on the 2-minute drill. I don't know any startup businesses within their first 12 months have that type of opportunity, but we're going to take advantage of it. And really, it's a platform for startup businesses to get exposure, go through our accelerator, and ultimately position them to win, just like this guy that is joining me today. So Jeff Fenster, welcome to the House of Bricks Live on LinkedIn.
Thanks, Adam. Honored to be here. Great to come on the show, and thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you joining. And I know we were talking before the show, you've done 600 of these, and I'm kind of in the same boat. So we're not going to do the tell me your story, but if you can just, for the people that don't know you, give a quick introduction, and then we'll get into some really valuable content.
Yeah, sure. Jeff Fenster, 41, girl dad, 18 and 12-year-olds. You know, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I never thought about entrepreneurship. It wasn't like this dream of mine. I've gone through life trying to figure out how to take my monkey mind and do what I want to do and love what I do. And it was really hard because outside of sports, I could never really figure it out. And so, I went to law school to be a sports agent. It was actually David Meltzer and me grew up together. So our moms are best friends, work together. So he's my older brother. He was the president of Lee Steinberg Sports Agency. I was sports agent world, grew up with a lot of guys that went pro, had a kid in law school and had to pivot. And so when I pivoted out of that, because back in 2006 and 2007, this privilege of Zoom and being able to do things virtual didn't exist. You got on airplanes, you did everything face-to-face, you were never home. It just wasn't the life I wanted as a dad. And so I got a job. I started selling payroll for one of the biggest payroll companies. I used one of the biggest lessons that I've used the rest of my life, but I didn't realize it at the time, relationship capital, to grow within that organization. I was the #1 sales rep my first 6 months there. President's Club, awards, money, all the goods. And I wasn't happy. And over $17,000, I quit, started my own first company out of my mom's kitchen at 24. And from there, I've sold 3 companies. And today I run 6. I'm most notably today, it's Everbowl, which is a craft superfood chain around the country. We Build, which is a construction manufacturing arm from, Everbowl to major gyms and QSRs around the today country, soon world. Unevolved concepts, unevolved products. I have the Jeff Fenster Show with Entrepreneur, an author, speaker, and I just like to make friends and have fun.
Well, you said probably the most important thing that we're going to cover here today, which is relationship capital. So yep. I'm definitely not a very smart guy. I did average in high school. Checked out college for a year. It was cool. Wasn't for me. But I did have kind of that entrepreneurial spirit, being mentored by Dan Gilbert when I was in high school, owner of the Cavaliers, founder of Rocket Mortgage. But I didn't realize what I was learning in that high school environment. Rock Financial at the time, now Rocket Mortgage, there were maybe, 70 or 80 people in there, but being in that environment just set me up for success in life. And so you mentioned relationship capital. Can you define like how you put value to that?
Yeah, of course. And I mean, this is not a plug because I don't make really any money, but I did write a book on this called Relationship Bank Account. And I have a course with LinkedIn. So since we're on that platform, LinkedIn Learning hired me to do a course on this. The whole purpose behind it is to understand that, as icky as it sounds, it's very similar to a bank account. You think about your checking account, you either have money in there and you're wealthy, you have no money in there, you're broke, you have negative, you owe money and you've overdrafted, and now you're in debt. And relationships are the same way with every human being on the planet, from your brother, your sister, your wife, your husband, your children, your mom, your dad, to friends, coworkers, spouses, investors, clients, strangers. There is an unspoken ledger, and how you think about those relationships and realize that the more deposits you can make by leading with value, being a good human, helping as many people as you can, being interested in them, being genuine, and putting yourself out there, you accumulate this version of wealth. And while you can't go to Starbucks and buy a coffee with it, I can pick up the phone and call David Meltzer right now, and he can introduce me to somebody who can add millions of dollars to my business. He can introduce me to someone who could get me tickets to my favorite event. He could introduce me to somebody who may help my kid do something. So who we know, there is a currency to it. And as you start to realize that, it changes how you view relationships, because it doesn't take any pre-existing skills to be a good person. It takes focus, effort, and intent. And so relationship capital is that unspoken currency you have. And if you're wealthy in relationships, you can open so many doors. And it has allowed me to enter new industries with zero experience and immediately rise to the top. Starting a digital marketing agency and partner with Neil Patel, one of the world's best digital marketers, allowed me to instantly create an 8-figure business within 6 weeks.
Right.
I know nothing about computers.
Yeah.
Now that's relationship capital. And so when you realize what it is and how you use it, you start to understand it is the most important asset you have. Who you know, because people do business with people. People do life with people. People help people. So if you don't know the right people, you are always going to be working harder. You are always running into the wind. You are always taking the stairs, and you're getting frustrated when you watch other people have an elevator and a hand up when you are more qualified, more experienced, and have paid your dues, but yet they're getting there first because of who they know.
And so our audience, it's filled with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and just people trying to succeed in life, following our mission, right? Living life brick by brick. You can use every experience, good or bad, as a competitive advantage. And we learn the most from our failures and mistakes. Success in life, Steve Jobs says, is a horrible teacher. So the more you win, really, the less you're learning. And as an entrepreneur, you spend 80% of your time failing. You know what you're signing up for. 9 out of 10 startups fail. Entrepreneurs would never classify themselves as this, but depression is a real thing, because it's lonely at the top. Who do you go to when you can't make payroll on Friday, or you're struggling to get sales? Whatever it is, it's very lonely place. And it is okay to be independent, but you don't have to be alone. And so you mentioned David Meltzer. Things that we teach, right, is if you want to 10x your life, everyone says this on social media, the real key is the threefold, type relationships. Be mentored by someone else, find a peer that you can climb the mountain with. And this is where I see most people miss out, is actually mentoring someone else. So no matter where you are in life, there's someone, and I don't want to say beneath you, but someone that wants to get to where you are. Can you bring them with you? And you don't have to have sold a company. You don't have to be a millionaire. You can help the guy at the local gas station, go to the next level. So one of the things that I have a challenge with the relationship capital, even with me, is how do we come across as authentic, right? So if you have that mindset, like, I want to build relationship capital, let me meet this guy, that guy. Is there any basic tips you can give people on how to build that capital and still remain authentic?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's part of the question that you asked is kind of where the problem lies for most people. I want to build a relationship with Dan Gilbert because he's Dan Gilbert, and I want something from Dan Gilbert. That's not authentic by itself.
Right.
You should want to have the relationship with every single person you come in contact with. It doesn't mean you're going to go grab a drink and go to the movies and go out to dinner with them. But if you lead your life and you become the person that is interested in everybody, is genuine, leads with value, asks questions, makes everybody feel good when you're around them, the Dan Gilberts fall in line like everybody else, and you accumulate those kinds of humans. I'm able to quickly build relationships with very prominent names that everyone knows, from the Shaqs and Drew Breeses to Gary V's, etc. And these are my friends because I don't focus on them. I do this for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to do that for everybody, you become that person that attracts humans, that you become the relationship capital individual because you're more interested in all of them and you find ways to lead with value. So when I go to an event or I go out to dinner, I make eye contact with the waiter or waitress. I ask them and compliment them. I try to get them to have some interaction with me that makes them feel good. Are they going to help me in business? Probably not. But does it matter? And the problem for most people is it's not authentic because they don't care about the waiter or waitress because they pre-qualified them as someone who isn't going to help them. And they only want to try to help or meet people who they perceive are going to help them. But that's just not how the real world works. And so you're never going to be able to build those relationships. And it's clear when you get to the individuals that you really aspire to be around, they're going to realize that you're not authentic because you're not. You're there for a purpose, a selfish, how is this person going to help me versus how can I help them? And that whole mind shift switch is the entire change. And all of a sudden, luck comes your way, all the relationships come your way, and you never know who that person's brother, sister, aunt, cousin, friend is and how they can completely change your world. And that is like the biggest difference, especially if you're an entrepreneur, that you can do this today. It's fishing. You go out fishing in a boat. You're deep sea fishing. You throw a rod and reel in the water, and you're waiting with one, and that's what you're doing. But you could put 40 in the water every single day, and increase your luck that a fish swimming by happens to bite that hook. And one of the greatest examples of that I learned early was my payroll business. When I had my very first company at 25 years old, father, had a young daughter, was very tight, barely surviving in my business. But I was in the grocery store, and every weekend where I lived, I went to the grocery store and I would make casual conversation with the checkout clerk. Most people put their head down, they're on their phone, thank you so much, and leave.
Yeah.
But I at least knew that she had dogs and went to Dog Beach. She knew that I had a payroll business and a little daughter, and we would have a 30-second interaction. Oh, did you go to the beach this weekend? What's your plans? Blah, blah, blah. How's your kid? Very simple. 18 months, 18 months of living there, 18 months of doing this. She one day says to me, you have a payroll business. My brother's having a payroll issue. Can I give him your number and would you be willing to help him? So I said, yes. Now, I know nothing. I don't know if he's an individual who has no money and I'm just going to do a favor. I know nothing. He had over 1,000 employees in his company. It was a $250,000 recurring contract that I earned, doubled my revenue for my business, and gave me a big customer that I could now back sell against as a case study from the checkout clerk at Albertsons. Now, is that lucky? Yes. But I created a circumstance that allowed me to get lucky, and most people aren't doing that.
Yeah, well, and it's funny you say that, like, lucky, right? And now they've put a term to it, increasing your, luck surface area.
Creating
At the end of the day, like, it's not luck. It, like you said, it's more fishing lines in the water, and you never know who you're talking to. When I was down at the VIP dinner in Miami with David, there's, stacked with VIPs. And probably the best conversation I had was with Kelly Gordon, who's on our podcast later, but she just sat down at her table and she was like, wow, you paid such attention to me. And then I happened to hear her story, and she's one of the few female super yacht captains out there, and had an incredible story trying to change and expose, there, with every bright or big opportunity or the glitz and glamour that people see, there's always a dark side to things that go on, like in pro sports or Hollywood, whatever it is. And so, incredible conversation. But what really meant a lot to her is didn't have my phone out, looked her in the eye, had a great conversation. And for her to give me that feedback, it's a new skill for me, because you're an entrepreneur too. Like, you're talking to one person and then you're thinking about the 7 businesses you're running. So it's a new skill for me. I'm trying to work on, being present. Kobe Bryant says it. I see his jersey in the background there, but the best present you can give people is your presence, when you're in front of them. So working on that. I've got a little entrepreneurial ADD, just like you do. I've heard you talk about that. And I love listening to your content, because I'm like, okay, I'm not I'm not crazy. There isn't something wrong with me. There's other people out there like me. So I mentioned to you before the show, we're running this contest right now called the Startup X program. And David Meltzer, we're sponsoring one of his shows on the 2-minute drill. It's in his 5th season on Apple TV. And what I've seen in coaching other entrepreneurs is they're always trying to do more, right? Like they always want to do the next best thing, which is great, but can also take you off the path you're going. How have you been able to harness that? And what are some of the common mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making?
They're dreaming and they don't have a plan. They don't have a formula. Success is, I say this, and at first you're not going to appreciate how I say it, but success is easy in anything in life. If you can figure out the formula for success, you can do it. It's like math. Math is hard until you understand that 2 + 2 is 4, and then you understand what that means. And now you can add any 2 numbers because you get it. So you got to figure out the formula for whatever you're after, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, spirituality, you name it, like whatever your purpose is, whatever you're aiming at. And then, I'm more of an entrepreneur, so I'll stay on the business track. But with business, success is a formula. And so once you understand it, it's how do you deploy it? And the problem for most entrepreneurs, there's 2 main problems. Number one, a lot of people who want to be an entrepreneur don't really want to be an entrepreneur. They think they do because of the glamour, but they don't really understand what goes into it. And so I would say, understand what you're doing and make sure it's what you really want to do, because it is very hard. It's meant to be hard. You can see the glamour of the Elon Musks and those who have sold companies. But the truth is, most people will never sell a company. Most people will never make millions of dollars doing it. So you better love the process. And you better understand what being an entrepreneur really means. It doesn't mean you get to sit in a big chair and order people around and say, I'm the boss and I get to work an hour a day.
Right.
That's not an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a problem solver. You have to be enjoying the idea that forevermore, you are going to be solving nonstop problems again and again and again and again, trying to prevent them from happening, and then solving new problems as you either grow or decline. And if you enjoy the pursuit of that, if you enjoy the experience of that, that's step one. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're just not going to put in the effort, the love, the sweat, the tears. You're going to be more depressed. You're going to be more like, I hate this. Why can't I make it? Well, you don't love it. So if you don't wake up and you're excited to do what you're doing, you got to find that. And it doesn't mean you have to enjoy every element of it, but you got to enjoy the nuance of it. Once you're there, that's the foundation. So now we're going to pretend that everyone's there, because you can't take a donkey and ask it to be a horse. Like you've got to make sure that this is what you want to do. But for me, it's very simple. I have a 5-step formula I use, and it allows me to stay present. It allows me to win my day. It allows me to continuously improve and get to the top of the mountain. And it has allowed me to sell multiple companies and build 8-9-figure companies without much experience in the industry, because I make friends and have fun. So I use relationship capital to attract world-class talent to join me in my pursuit of my dream or my goal. I attract investors if I'm raising capital, or customers by how I live and act and the person I am. That's step one. Step two, I take immediate decisive action. I don't wait for perfection. I don't wait to have everything figured out. What can I do right now in this moment to take one step towards whatever it is I believe I need to do? And it could be like literally putting on your shoes because I want to start working out and I haven't been. So let me just put on my gym shoes today and watch TV. Like, you can do very small steps, but do something right now. Most people say, oh, I'm going to do this. And I know we need to think about our financing and build a deck for the investors. So I'm going to do it Saturday. No, start right now. Mm-hmm. At least create the PowerPoint, put the title on and hit save. Like, do something, move it forward. Because inertia is real. And once you take one step, you're more likely to take your second. Then set micro goals. We all set these huge goals. I'm going to go raise $50 million. We're going to sell for $100 billion. We're going to do 20 million this year. Awesome. What are you doing today to do that? Literally today. And literally in the next 5 minutes. So set micro goals for your day. Once you've done that, Kaizen yourself there. Meaning, can I get 1% better every day? So if today I'm going to make 5 sales calls. I know I should do 100, but today can I do 5? Okay. Tomorrow, can I do 6? Probably. The next day, can I do 7? Probably. But if I did 0 yesterday, I'm not doing 100 today and 100 tomorrow and 100. It's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you've got to build yourself up brick by brick, pun intended.
There we go.
To accomplish and become the person who has the skill and the habits and the muscle memory and all of the things that need to be to accomplish it. And then Are you remarkable? And it's defined simply, are you giving your 100% focus and best effort in what you're doing right now? I'm on this show with you. Am I thinking about my kids and what I'm doing for the 4th of July and the 150 emails in my inbox and what I'm going to do next? Or am I engaged with you, giving you my best, regardless if it's good or bad? And that's all I can do today. So if every day I give my absolute best at brushing my teeth when I brush my teeth, in my meetings, on my sales calls when I'm on my sales calls, dealing with investors when I'm dealing with them, on my shows, everything I do, and I give 100% of myself based on win stacking and my micro goals that I've defined and taking immediate action on the things I need to do, then doing that over and over and over again, at the end, brick by brick, you've built this empire, you've created your success, and you don't have time to worry about where you're not going, why you don't have this, because you're winning every single day. I'm setting a goal. Like on my goal with you on the show is, can I impact and help one potential entrepreneur? I don't know if I'm going to, but that's my goal. It's not to help every single person listening. Now that'd be wonderful. That's like, the top of the Sunday. But my simple goal is, can I help one person improve their chance at success? That's an obtainable goal. And I'm going to feel good if I do my best that I'm going to accomplish that. And I hope if this does help you, that you let me know so now I can validate that. But that's my goal. And so it's a realistic goal. And if I do that every day, compound interest is going to happen. I'm going to end up helping more, and it's going to be great. And then lastly, and most importantly, be change ready, because so many entrepreneurs get so stuck in, this is how I do it. I'm uncomfortable of change. I'm not going to pivot. You need to be change ready. You need to be willing to rebuild your business, repivot your focus, adapt and alter what you're doing based on macro and micro events. And when you do that and it's scary, this is what you do. You take immediate decisive action. You set micro goals, and you be remarkable at it. And it's just a matter of if, or when, not if, you are successful and you become very good at whatever it is you're doing.
Well, if the one entrepreneurs you're helping today is me, I hope I'll just kick everyone else off and we'll have a Zoom coaching call here. So listen, no matter how much you hear these things, we have to hear them repetitively, because our mind at times is our own worst enemy. And so when you're setting these goals for yourself and following this plan, do you have, and you've accomplished a ton of success. I know you don't want to hear that or need to, but listen, you've done what 99.9% of the world will never do, which is starting and selling multiple businesses. Do you still seek mentorship? Do you have mentors that help you and hold you accountable?
Always. And it's not because I need them to teach me how to be an entrepreneur or teach me the things I don't need to know or even hold me accountable, because I take extreme ownership in my own accountability. It's because when you are in the forest and fighting the trees or fighting the fires and doing what you're doing, and you can lose sight of what you're doing. And if you think sports, you think about a football team, there's always a coordinator sitting in a press box way up high, seeing the entire field, because they can see things that I can't. And so having that ear, and sometimes the art of just me talking about my situation, my goods, my bad, things I'm working on, strategy, with another person who understands business, even they don't say a word, but me just having to articulate to them and get them up to speed so they can then help me, helps me rethink about what I'm saying and how it sounds. It forces me to spend that time working on my business, because I'm all the time in my business. So having those mentors and those coaches is wonderful. That's why LeBron James has a coach. Right. That's why Tom Hanks has an acting coach and Beyonce has a singing coach. It's not because they need to be taught how to do their craft. It's because, for the same reason, strategy is not always being great at something. And that's why some of the great players in life aren't great coaches, and some of the best coaches aren't great players. They're a different set of skills. And so what I'm not, I'm not afraid of what I don't know, and I'm not afraid of being wrong. I'm afraid of what I think I know, but is wrong, because I'm more steadfast in those ideas. So I want to be challenged. I want to be pushed. I want someone to tell me and poke holes in my thinking and force me to look at it from maybe another angle and hear another perspective. And sometimes they tell me, it sounds great, you're doing a great job. And sometimes I need to hear that. And so having a mentor and coach in your corner, I mean, it's going to increase the chance of success. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you have a couple of things you got to remember. You have a limited amount of resources: time, money, and people. And so if you can compress time by having coaching and mentors that can prevent you from stepping in potholes, prevent you from paying dummy tax and wasting your capital, and help point you in the right direction, you're going to hopefully get your destination faster. Doesn't mean you have to take that advice. Sometimes I completely go against the advice of my mentors and my coaches. But that's okay, because I'm making a conscious choice to do that, understanding I now have seen the full perspective. I'm hearing words I don't always want to hear, and I'm forcing myself to do self-reflection. And so if you don't have them in your corner, you're just competing on an unlevel playing field. I'm playing with performance enhancing a team, and you're not. You're going solo, and I have a team of remarkable brains helping. And it's a family. And I'm telling you, I'm not successful because I'm great. I'm ordinary. I'm an average guy, average height, average intellect, average grades. I went to University of Arizona, average college, average law school. But I figured out what extra stuff to do to get extraordinary results, which means the good news is every single person listening to this can do it, because I don't have any special gift that you guys don't. I'm not Shaq at 7'1", 350. I'm not Elon Musk with a brain that could probably be studied. So I don't have those weird things that you're never going to be able to associate yourself with. I'm you and whoever's watching. And all I did was figure out that formula and then how to hack and make that extra stuff happen so I can have extraordinary results. And then I keep doing it because 99.9% fail, not because they're not trying hard, because they don't have the formula. You can run all day in place. And most entrepreneurs confuse productivity and activity. Mm-hmm. They spend 15 hours a day being active and they're not being productive. And that's where you can change the whole formula for yourself and take yourself from being a 99% failure rate to a 80-90% success rate.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and because and first of all, again, just really good content. If you're an entrepreneur out there listening, I'm taking notes here, even though I've listened to Jeff before, a lot of the same people he does, but we all need constant reminders of these containers, the goals, how to succeed. And they're not complex. They're really simple things. But oftentimes the most complex thing is to do what is simple. And so, we're working with startup businesses, and you've been in startup mode. Some of them are in a position where, oh, Adam, I can't spend the money for coaching, or I've got to put money here. Can you help me for free? And I've done this, many, many times over the years. And my position is, if someone doesn't have some investment in what they're doing, like they just don't value it. And in fact, like the most expensive things in life are actually what you get for free, because you don't go through the process of what it takes to take ownership of that. So any advice for the entrepreneurs out there that are struggling, bootstrapping? Like, is it worth joining a community? Is it worth having a coach? When do you make that decision?
Yeah, as soon as humanly possible. I mean, I think that your limited resources, if you don't have any money for coaching, I would question whether or not you are really in a business yet, because you are spending money in areas that aren't going to help you. And what if that coach, and it's up to you to pick the right one, but what if that coach could instantly get you a return? I mean, a coach should be an ROI positive thing. It's like hiring a good salesperson or having good marketing. Those aren't cost centers. And if you're looking at them as a cost center, you're already not understanding the power. So yes, if you have a coach that costs you blank a month and you don't get a positive ROI into your business for it, you hired the wrong coach.
Right.
That's possible. But when you hire the right coach, they're going to move the needle for you and make it to where if you give them $1, they're going to return you 4, 5, 6, 20, 30, 100, to where now you have resources. So you've got to remember, like, are you just cutting down your ladder to give yourself firewood because you're cold and you're in a hole and now you don't have a ladder? And if so, you failed already. It just hasn't finished yet. The boat's sinking. You just haven't completely gone under the water. So you've got to at least give yourself a chance to win. And so if I was down to my last dollar, I would literally if I wanted you to be my coach, Adam, and I had no money, I would approach you in a different model and say, look, I don't have a ton of resources, Adam. I'm going to open up my bank account to you. I'm going to show you what we're bringing in and where it's going. I'm going to take the bare bones minimum I need to pay my rent or my food. Everything else is going to go to you. I'm going to give you some equity. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to come mow your lawn on Saturday mornings at 2 a.m. I'm going to do whatever I can to give you some value, because I know your time is valuable. I'm not asking for free coaching. And I get, if I can't afford you, that time is your most important asset. So I'm not going to ask you to give me the same time. But what I would love, Adam, is if any way, shape, or form you can at least start to help me, and I'll earn more time as I make more money to give you. And you are my first priority to pay. But if you can at least look at my business and see if there is a way for me to do it, and let's work something out. And look, it's up to Adam or me or any coach to say yes or no. And most will say no. And that's okay too. They should say no. You're not ready for them. You can't ask for a professional, one of the best coaches in the world, when you're not the person who should have that coach. You got to meet your coach at the level that they're capable of coaching, and you need to be that person or that company. So you've got to also understand that. And at the very beginning of a company, you're not ready for that. What you need to do is you need to figure out, are you an entrepreneur, and how you're going to break through just the bottom stuff. Get yourself organized, get a business plan together, go to get free information on the internet until you're there, but then get mentors, get coaching, build a community, find, like you said, Adam, find somebody who's your peer so you can bounce ideas off of them. Ask people who are above you how you may get some time with them. And there's a million of them. So keep asking. Don't quit. Oh, well, Adam said no. Well, you know what? Adam might say no.
Yeah.
But there's 18 more people you can go to tomorrow. And one of them might say yes. And you need to find one person who believes in you. And if no one's believing in your plan, it's time to look at your plan.
Yeah. And what you're saying so good. And I know we're running up on time, and I know your schedule's as packed as mine. So just one last piece to kind of close that out too is what entrepreneurs don't understand is when you give someone like you or me or David Meltzer or whoever money to be your advisor, there's a responsibility on our part because we're high character, high integrity. If you're paying me, I'm going to give you 100%. If you're not winning, I'm not going to want to be your coach either. So when that value exchanges hands, and I know people are in situations, you may need custom payment plans or find a lower level coach. I laugh, like my 4 boys all play hockey, and at like 9 years old, people are like, oh, this skills coach played in the NHL. Like, okay, well, your kid's 9. He doesn't need NHL level coaching. He can't even stand up. So find the right coach or advisor for where you are. Find a peer to grind with. And then also find someone else that you can mentor and help out. Because when you are mentoring others, it actually helps you. It helps you bring your game up. You want to walk what you're teaching other people. So, Jeff, as we wrap up here today, man, thank you so much for joining. Tons of wisdom here. I've got some notes for everyone out there listening. Check out Jeff Fenster on Instagram, LinkedIn. Easy guy to find. If you can't find him, then you shouldn't find him. He's everywhere. And I'm going to check out that book you talked about as well. So as we wrap up here today, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to jump into our Startup X program. It really is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go through this and then have the opportunity to be on the 2-minute drill. It's aired on Apple TV. And whether you make it there or not, our accelerator process will help your business get to the next level, provides focus, discipline, accountability, and community. So appreciate everyone joining today for another episode of the House of Bricks Live. Jeff, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just add, whether you get on the show or not, the process of going through the process is how you win. People are always worried about destinations. Become the person in the company that can earn it. So you're going to go through the process and you're going to learn something, even if you're not selected. So right now, all of you take immediate action and go to the houseofbricks.io Startup X, because the process of applying is actually what you need. And it's the goal. And those who get on, fantastic. You may not get on this year, but it'll get you ready for the next time and the next opportunity. So you're more primed, because luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So you got to be prepared, and that's how you get prepared.
Nothing I can add to that. So appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
See you.